Many of you don't know this. I spend an average of 8 to 10 hours a week preparing a sermon for Sunday mornings, also for tonight. And boy, I prepared a good one for tonight. But you're not going to get to hear it. I was sitting up here tonight and I decided it wasn't the message that I was called to bring to you tonight. If you come back at 11 o'clock, you'll probably hear that message. But today I've got a different message for you. And it was a message that I do believe that God gave to bring to you this night. It's a message about this night, the holiest of all nights. It's about the love of God. It's about the gifts that God gives us and we give to one another. And it's about that strange thing that fleets away from us called time. I was sitting tonight during the children's message, and I looked into the faces of those children, so wonderful, so full of joy, so full of excitement, and I saw that joy, and I remembered something. I remembered last year on Christmas Day, as I always do, I flew away from Arizona to be with my grandchildren. And last year on Christmas Day, for about 2 or 3 hours, I held my grandson Carter, and Carter's no longer with us now. We lost Carter in August, and I looked into the face of those children and realized how precious they are. And I know tonight, across this country, especially those gathered in worship in places like Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island, are realizing the preciousness of children, the gift that God has given us, and the small amount of time we're given to be with them. And so tonight, I want us to remember the gift of children and the gift of life. And I want us to remember the most important gifts we give, which aren't the presents under the trees. They're not the things we stuff into the stockings. They don't come on debit cards or credit cards or gift certificates. They don't come online. But they're the gifts of family and friends and relationships. And they are so important. And so sitting here tonight, I was reminded of a story. Now, if you like to read as much as I do, and if you love Christmas as much as I do, then you read a lot of stories. And I can remember reading a series of short stories written in the 1800s under the pseudonym O. Henry. Has anyone ever read O. Henry's works? Any of them? Well, he has 3 of mine that are my favorites. One of those, which is really just fun, is called The Ransom of Red Chief. If you ever get a chance, read that. One of the other great ones that's so powerful is one called The Last Leaf. But of course, the one that you may have heard of and not even known O. Henry wrote it was a short story entitled The Gift of the Magi. And in that story, O. Henry tells about a young couple, Jim and Dell. And they were madly in love, and so poor they could barely put food on the table. And as Christmas approached this one particular year, they really wanted to get each other a gift. And Jim would look at Dell, and she was so beautiful, and he would admire her. And she had this long, gorgeous, beautiful hair, and he saw week after week he would go by a store, and in the window they had a set of those great handmade combs that women would put in their hair in those days. And he thought, oh, if I could just come up with the money to buy those combs for Dell and for her long, beautiful hair. And at the same time, Dell would scrape pennies, and week after week she would go by and she saw this beautiful watch, chain, and fob at the store. And it was expensive, but Jim's pride and joy was this gift, this pocket watch that had been given to him by his father, the only thing of any value that he owned. And so as Christmas got closer and they were both desperate to do something, and it was as if nothing could happen good, because no matter how much much they saved, there was nothing left at the end of the week. And Dell made this wonderfully desperate decision. She went and she decided to have her hair cut off, and she sold her hair so she could buy that special watch, chain, and fob for Jim. And so she got it and she wrapped it and she did as much as she could with her hair, and looking in the mirror she almost cried as her hair was gone. It was the one part that she just loved about her look. And so she wrapped the gift, and as they came in that day, Jim came in from work and he had a present for her. And Dell wanted him first to open her present, and he looked at her hair all cut off. And he began to smile, and he opened his gift, and it was the watch, chain, and the fob for which she had sacrificed greatly. And so then he handed her his gift, and it was the beautiful set of combs for her long hair, because Jim had sold his pocket watch to buy the combs. And so they both sacrificed for one another. Oh, Henry ends that story by saying, oh, those poor, silly people. Aren't they the silliest? Aren't they the wisest of them all? Aren't they the Magi? Folks, those kind of gifts that we can give to one another are amazing. And tonight, that's what I want you to think about. I could talk to you for a long time about the message of Christmas, but this is the message of Christmas. God coming down the stairway of heaven with a baby in his arms, giving us the greatest gift of all time, a gift that we would take and we would appreciate and we would love, and that would be sacrificed for us. And so on this night, the greatest of all nights, I want you to think of what kind of gifts that you can give. It's not too late, by the way. There's still plenty of time to give the kind of gifts that I want you to give. You don't have to do any shopping. You don't have to try to sneak out and get somewhere at the last minute. You don't have to do any of that stuff. No, I want you to give the greatest gifts of all. If you know me by now, and many of you do as you come here fairly regularly, you know I'm a huge movie buff. And Christmas movies, of course, have to be the best of all the movies, right? And I've been watching endless ones this last few weeks. But one of my favorites that was on last night, and we don't see it much, and it's a shame, because it's a little movie called The Bishop's Wife. And it stars Cary Grant and David Niven and Loretta Young. And I won't go into the story, but David Niven is a bishop, and at the end of it, after he has an awakening of what's important in life, he stands up to preach a sermon in the very closing scenes of the movie. And he begins to talk about things, and he says, he said, I want to talk to you tonight about an empty stocking. A stocking that's hung by the manger of the Christ child. And it's empty tonight. And he says, you know, we give gifts so well. I mean, we spend a lot of time picking out gifts, don't we? Getting just the right gift for just the right person. But he says, this night, I want you to give a gift to the Christ child. I want you to fill his stocking, and that's what I'm asking you to do. This is what I'm asking you to do tonight. I want you to take a look into your heart this evening. And I want you to find something you need to get rid of. Something standing in your way of a deeper relationship with God and with others. And I want that to be the gift you give to Jesus this year. Maybe there's somebody that you've been angry at for a while. I want you to forgive them. Especially if they don't deserve it. I want you to reconcile with someone this evening. And to say, none of these things really matter in the big picture in this precious little time we have. In this time that could be wiped out tonight or tomorrow or the next day. Give to Jesus this night a gift. a gift of love and caring. Maybe there's somebody that you've let slip out of your life. And tonight's the night. Or tomorrow's the day that you can make a phone call. And just get on the phone and call them and say, "Oh, I just want to say I love you and I haven't forgotten you. I want to build that relationship with you." Think of all the little trivial things that we get angry about. Think of all the little trivial things that we allow to stand in the way of our relationship with other people. We may think they're big, but in the big scope of life, they're so small. And so tonight, I want you to leave this place and leave it with determination. Leave it with strength and courage that you're going to reach out and you're going to reconnect or forgive or love or thank or care for someone and put those gifts in the stocking of Jesus, who gave so much for us. And so tonight, in just a few moments, we're going to light candles that represent the light that overcomes the darkness. Let the light of Jesus Christ flow into your life. Forgive, forget, love, care, embrace. Life is way too short. And accept this wonderful gift that God has given us. But don't just accept it. Share the love with everyone else. I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to share with you tonight. If you want the 10-hour sermon, come back at 11 o'clock. You might like it better. This one was just solely from my heart this night for you, when I looked out and saw all of those children and all of those families, and wanted to say to you, share the love of Christmas everywhere. Thanks be to God. Amen.